I almost finished this quilt top. The only thing left to do is sew together the rows. So all the rows are sewn, well, all the blocks are sewn into rows, but the rows need to be joined. But I ran into a problem. And the problem is my rows turned out not to be the same length. So how to solve this and how to assemble your quilt top anyway, that is what we're going to discuss in this video. Hi there! Welcome to a new video on the Shiverido channel. My name is Irene and today we're going to sew together this quilt top. And this quilt top was part of a Block of the Month program run by the Dutch Modern Quilt Guild. So a Dutch quilting group, and members of our group designed 12 members of our group designed 12 different blocks. And in 2023, each month we got a new block from a member of our guild, and that turned into this project. And now I have sewn all the blocks and assembled the rows, and now I need to sew the rows together. But as I put it up my design wall, it did not turn out to really match. So not all the rows are the same length. So what I'm going to do is first give everything a press so that I know that everything is flat. Then I will put it back on my design wall and try to not stretch it as much as possible. So just keep it the way I pressed it. Then I'm going to measure the length of the rows and give you an update on how bad it actually is. This one wants to say hi. Oops. There's Jimmy. So, say hi. Hi. Let's get pressing the rows, and then I'll get back to you with the measurements of the length of the different rows. So now it's time to measure and see how big the differences actually are. So after pressing, I already noticed that it seems less big of a difference. So when I put it up after sewing, it felt super wonky, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a problem. Let's record a video about it. But now I've pressed it, it already looks better. So I'm going to measure it and see what it looks like right now. So that one is 48.25 at the top. Is it? No, it's, wait, what? It's 48.25 at the bottom. And 48.5 at the top. So let's see if we can make that 48.5 at the bottom as well. So what's happening now is that I'm gently pushing aside the fabric a little bit, flattening it out at the bottom, seeing what that does. Let's see if we added 1/4 inch. Almost 48 3/8 of an inch. Still 48.5, so I guess that could be good enough. 48.75 of an inch. So I guess we could count this at 48.5. Next one. "48 3/4" at the top. And 48 1/2 at the bottom. So I could smoothen this out a little bit more, but I guess this block could be trimmed a little bit. So I could make this 48 1/2 as well, just by trimming off a tiny bit. So then those two already would be the same width. "48 1/2, that's going great. And at the bottom, "48 3/4. So it's scooping this over just a tiny bit. That would for sure make it 48 1/2. And then the bottom one was the biggest. So let's see how big that one is. Almost 49, so 48 7/8 of an inch. And at the bottom is 48 3/4 of an inch. So I guess this block as well, this will be okay to trim off a little bit. So that one is almost 49, so that should go down. Maybe I will cut the rows at both ends a little bit. So the options you have when you have rows that are not matching up is either trimming them, or when the top one would have been smaller and I thought it was going to be, then I probably would have added a little strip so that I would not have to chop the others as much. But now I could have scooped it to 48 1/2. I guess that one is fine, and only the bottom one is going to be a little bit of a problem, and I'm just going to trim that down. I guess when your rows are within a 1/4 inch in size of each other, that they don't differ more than a 1/4 inch, then it's okay to just pin both ends together and measure the center by folding your row in half and marking it, then pinning the center together, and then going from there. I will show you how I pin my rows when I start sewing. And then it's okay if there's a little bit of wiggle room, because, well, fabric is stretchy, so even cotton fabric, it's a little bit stretchy, so that will be okay. So for now, I'm going to make all the rows 48 1/2 inch, and then I'll be back when I start pinning. So now to pin all these together, I'm first going to make some room. So move these out of the way. Get some pins. And let's see. So now everything is 48 1/2 an inch. 48 1/2. So everything should fit together nicely. Let's see, these two should go together. I'm going to place them on top of each other. Well, let's mark the center first. So fold it together at the side where I'm going to sew, and then when it's nicely folded, then I'm going to just make a crease with my nail in the fabric. You could also stick a pin in there, but I think a crease will do nicely. So that is the center of that one. Fold this in half, and the center of this one is at the seam. So that makes it easy. So this crease, this crease here should go in the center over here. There we go. That's a nice point to line up. Going to stick a pin in there right away. So that point is secure. And then I'm going to focus on the outer edge lay that nice and straight, and then also put a pin at the top over here. Then do the same at the other side. Lay this nice and flat. And stick a pin in there. Now you might have noticed already that my seams, my edges over here are pretty wonky. So I'm just going to make the best of it and try to line them up as good as possible. So what I will do is I will take the center and I will take this and then just give it a little wiggle. Let's try to make those lie on top of each other and be lined out as good as possible. I think that's okay. Do the same at the other side. Give this a little bit of a wiggle. And then you can pin this all the way through. So this is not too big of a distance, otherwise I might have also marked out the quarter, like a quarter of the length, and also pin those together. But this is not such a big quilt top, so I think we will be okay with just pinning both ends and the center, and then pinning as we go. So I do have some seams over here that when everything would have gone perfectly, I would have lined these two up. But since I've trimmed the rows, I'm not sure about lining those up anymore. Even though it would be prettier in the quilt itself, I guess I'm going to make it more wonky when I would line those up now. Just estimating, I guess they differ about 1/4 of an inch. I'm just going to leave it as it is and attempt to get a quilt top that lays kind of flat. That's the goal here. There we go, so that is pinned, and yeah, it is kind of wonky, so they are not lining up perfectly. So I guess I'm going to sew with a big 1/4 inch and then see how that will turn out. So I guess that went pretty well. If I would only show you this point, then you would say, whoa, that is very neat. But as we go further along the row, you will see these points shifting and ending up here with almost a 1/4 inch, I guess, seam allowance difference. But it's okay, since it's such a messy quilt. It's fine that those points are not matching up. That's okay with me. At least we have one matching point in the row. Okay, so that is 2 rows joined. I'm going to join the other 2. Did it! The quilt top is finished. So let's see if I didn't mess up the rows, the order of the rows. I guess we did good. There it is, that looks good. So all rows are joined together, and I think this will work out just fine. Not too wonky, and this one is ready to be quilted. So to summarize, some tips, I guess, for joining wonky rows or rows that are not the same length. Do give them a good press, because that was the first thing I did without even realizing that it was going to help, and it did help. So give it a good press and then measure and figure out your plan. So if it's varying too much, maybe you need to trim some rows or add a little bit of length to one of the other rows. And then make sure to pin very well. So pin the outsides, pin the center, and then start sewing from there. I'm very happy that this one is finished now so that I can start quilting it. I have no clue how to quilt it. If you've ever quilted something like this with so many different blocks and so many different pieces and have any tips on how to quilt it, please do let me know. I would love to get some ideas. And yeah, that's it. That is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have a Q&A question or an idea for a video, just let me know in the comments down below. See you again next week.